So basically right now what's going to happen, instead of giving a boring presentation, I can actually turn off the slides. No, they're not there anymore. Cool. We're gonna put Jeremy in the hot seat as, oh, there's somebody coming in. Knock, knock. Welcome back. So we're gonna put Jeremy in the hot seat and I'm gonna ask him some questions. I assume by now everybody's back, so just let's get to it. All right, all right. Welcome to the Wise Crowds Night Live show. I'm your host, Bruno, and we have our guest today, Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you, man?
Thanks to be here, Bruno. Really appreciate you putting this thing together for us.
Great, great, great. So let's get started with the first question, Jeremy. This is all great, like going into pairs and like thinking about our purpose for being here, but how the fuck are we actually going to learn these liberating structures?
Well, that is pretty easy. We're going to learn by using them. We're going to give everybody an opportunity to get a first taste. The first taste is the experience of using these liberating structures. So far, we're experiencing impromptu networking, 9 whys, and now we're already in the third thing, the celebrity interview. So, and then on top of that, we're going to create additional surface area with some squads or some micro solidarity style crews to give us some opportunity to sort of support a smaller instance of the cohort's growth. And we're actually going to organize a practice session, sort of unconference in about 2 months that is going to provide us both the opportunity to actually create an event, as well as lots of opportunities for each of these crews that we're going to split ourselves up to actually host workshops with other people. So in this very public setting with all of our friends, we'll have the opportunity to also get into the driver's seat and make use of these things. And of course, I fucking use them in your life, right?
Great. So you mentioned we're going to organize an unconference. What's an unconference, Jeremy? And perhaps like what's open space technology?
So an unconference is basically a participatory event. If a conference, you sort of sit back and have an agenda that's pre-planned by the organizers of the conference, an unconference works a different way. So we're going to invite a bunch of people to gather, and the people that gather are going to create the agenda of what happens. And of course, we can do some pre-population in that, but it is basically for participants by participants.
So let's be honest right here, Jeremy. You basically want us to organize an event for your DAO.
Yes. Yes, and that is good for us, right? That's good for all of us. One of the most important aspects about liberating structures, any learning, let's just say, fuck liberating structures, any learning whatsoever is it's about decreasing the cycle time between having learned things and getting to actually use them. So one, if you can decrease the cycle time, if you can go out into the world tomorrow, literally, and use one of the structures that we have tried today, you will be giving yourself a distinct advantage in accelerating your learning journey in these things. And organizing an event, yes, absolutely. I have had a fantasy about creating a cross-context working session that is less, let's stand there and show each other slide decks and do talky circle things, but what is the actual value that we can generate with and across the community if we can be ensured that we have a very significant diversity and a plurality of organizations. I feel like that would be an incredible superpower to unleash. And yes, you guys have all been duped into that master plan to create #real value.
So it's going to be an unconference. It's going to be at June 26th, and it's going to be with us, but also with people from the outside that we want to bring in. And what that brings to us is like a lot of practice opportunity, right?
For sure. So remember, our context for this learning journey is around organizing and planning and hosting participatory events. So rather than just talk about doing the thing or run through it in the abstract, what we're actually going to do is we're going to do the damn thing. And of course, the tools and the ways that we go about doing this thing is a specific prototype that hopefully we can give everybody the experience that, oh, this shit works in this way. That's how I use it.
So how do we actually prepare for this?
For the whole event itself, well, the entire point of the learning journey is we're going to go through a set of steps that actually is a liberating structure itself called purpose to practice. And every time we meet, we are creating artifacts that actually help us in the delivery of the event itself. So today, what we focused on already is actually really high value, these statements of purpose, which can be seen as the intent that we want to bring into the space. The next session, we're going to talk about participants. That's going to help us mobilize and identify the different aspects of the refi, region, Web3 community that we want to enable to participate. And the session after that, we're going to talk about the principles, subjects, and topics that are of interest to those folks. And the session after that, we're going to think about structures and ways that we can enable participation for both ourselves as well as providing clear affordance for those that join the event. I've already got a Luma event page that is right now quite an empty placeholder, but it's a place where we can point people to and say, hey, together, the people in this learning journey, we are going to organize an event. Register, it's going to be awesome. And I'm absolutely certain if we do that on socials, if we do that in the DMs, then we're going to have a shit ton of people there that we want to hang out with.
Cool. So let me see if there's any more questions I have for you, Jeremy. It sounds as like a lot of structure already in place, a lot of already planned. Like what's like what is our role in this? Like what's like and how do the liberating structures fit in all of this?
Yeah, so the liberating structures provide us a process that can help get us to the outcome of hosting an event and the practice of organization and hosting the event, also using the structures. The role of everybody, myself, I mean, sure, I'm organizing the goddamn string of structures that we're going to use, but I intend to put my own thinking into these structures with you guys as well. So from my perspective, I'm just a collaborator that is also in the role of trying to organize the flow and create a nice happy flow that gets us to our destination. And the role of everybody is to offer the ideas, information, and insight that they have about what the thing is that we want to create together and how we want to go about doing it. It's going to be a very intersectional space that has a lot of opportunities for different types of participation. What I hope to do is help to find out what type of participation the people in this room want to engage, and also help in the design and creation process, so I can sit with you guys and go, all right, if that's the type of party you want to throw, these are some liberating structures we might want to try in order to get that type of party for the action that you want to see happen.
All right, Jeremy, thank you so much. Our time is up. So to summarize, we're gonna learn about liberating structures by experience liberating structures, and then also planning liberating structures, and like creating like a practice opportunity for ourselves. Okay, thank you so much. What we'll do right now is quickly go into pairs. And we have about 4 minutes, and you can have a discussion about the things that you just heard, and come up with some questions, write them down, and then once we come back in the group chat, you can put them in the chat, and I'll fish out a few to ask Jeremy. Is that clear for everyone?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. 4 minutes,
run the breakout rooms.
Yep, it's happening. It is happening.
Let's go.
This meeting is being recorded.
You heard the internet lady. I see one question from Evan that was in the chat. Can we tell people about it now? And the answer to that question is yes. We want to be practicing what is known colloquially is as working out loud. So as we are making progress towards our intended outcome, we just create surface area saying, hey, we have an intended outcome. We're going to declare our purpose. Every 2 weeks, we are going to create deliverables in line with that outcome that give us another opportunity to say, hey, we have more clarity than we had just 2 weeks ago. Look, we have even more clarity than we had just 2 weeks ago. Have you checked if the unconference collides with the trusted seed unconference? I fucking hope so. That would be epic. I did talk to Max with the trusted seed, and the unconference that they are doing is going to be a little bit in advance of the one that we're doing, but that was a couple months ago. I'm not sure if their plans have changed. Let's see. I'm hearing music. Yeah, that's you, Victor. Victor is a DJ in his actual life. Even if he's not, he is totally a DJ, actually, intentionally. What are we supposed to do for the event exercise to implement LS in a session? That's a really good question. That's a design question that we're going to spend the entire 4th session sort of talking about at length. What are the topics? The topics we will have created a sort of laundry list of the stuff that we think our communities are going to think is cool, how we're going to turn those topics into specific programs or workshops. That's what we're going to spend the whole 4th session figuring out. Ideas, possible unifying theme for the unconference. Yep, that is what we're going to do in the next step, is come up with we're going to merge our 9-word purpose statements, spoiler alert, into a purpose statement to find out what has the strongest resonance. Possible tool in a impact NFTs, POAP for attendance, donations. Of course, I would love the Luma page for the registration is called the Wise Crowds Your Name Here Unconference. I would love to find someone who is interested in providing sponsorship. And it's my intention that if we can get sponsorship, I'm just gonna share that shit with you guys, because I think that would be the most fucking mind-bending thing in the world if I could turn a learning journey into an experience that pays the participants. I mean, we got a lot of people in here, but anything would be incredible. How to, in an emergent group, arrive upon the value that wants to emerge, the problems that prevent or block that value before looking for solutions. This is a huge question. Actually, and that's the thing that we're going to do in the step after this. So we're going to talk about how we can actually look for those blockages and actively engage with them so that we can stop getting in our own fucking way rather than try and score the touchdown. If you turn uncertain, yes?
Can I stop you here? And maybe we take 1 or 2 more questions, but basically the first people that raise their hand, and then they can ask the question themselves directly.
Sure.
We don't want to go into a Jeremy talk show.
Yeah, totally.
With all respect, Christian, go for it. What's your question?
What role does leadership and centralization play in this distributed system?
As far as I'm concerned, enablement, right? So my leadership should just enable shit to happen. And if it does more than that, or if it doesn't do that, then it's kind of misshapen. But everything about my vibe is to enable shit to happen. Gustavo.
Yeah, in this context of the conference, and also calling your phrase from today where you mentioned that we should turn uncertainty into our ally. But does that make certainty our enemy?
Interesting. I don't think so. Certainty, explanation has a place. It just like narrative sort of has a place. It just, I think, in the complexity that is sort of coming down the pipeline, I don't think it's going to have like the first place. I don't think certainty becomes an enemy. I think certainty just becomes like a luxury that we may not be able to afford.
I see one more question in the chat that I want to lift up, and then I suggest we continue with the game plan for today. The question comes from Sylvia. What if there are different communities of participants that would benefit of the collective organization of the Unconference?
Can there be
Get
more?
involved?
How can they get involved? That in the organization, I mean, that would be incredible. That would be the best case scenario if other people go, this is exciting and we would love to participate in making it happen. I believe we are creating affordances that should be clear enough to enable that. If we consider the members of this group sort of as the design team, then that should be possible. And to be clear as well, as we go ahead and start creating clarity and sharing our perspectives on what we want to create, the whole point is that we use that clarity that we create and the sharing of it as the basis for a conversation with the communities that we're a part of and around, to basically say, hey, this is what we're thinking about. Does that sound like a cool thing? Does that sound like not the thing? What's the things that go with those things that we're thinking about as well? So can there be more than one Unconference to co-creating together? I mean, I hope so. I would love to see this thing be a recurring theme, where we do more than just talk about collaboration, but actually collaborate. Anybody else?
Common theme in our discussion was, how do you prevent against ideological boundaries and silos and at worst schismogenesis, where we actually push away from each other's perspective just because of the nature that it's different than ours.
A, huge question. Probably no good answer. The answer that instantly comes up, because certainty is unfortunately everywhere. But the answer that comes up for me is by embracing paradox. The more we lean into paradox, the more we can recognize that there is a higher order synthesis that makes what seems on the surface to be different recognized as similarities.
Can I also add to that answer? It's beautiful. Love that. And also there's a tool I learned called polarity mapping, which I think is a really great way to do this. So it's basically finding the signal on the other side and realize that there's actually, it's equal and opposing. It's not like they go together in a way. So, trying to get people to come down from their tree and do it like a little inquiry into how they got to where they are and what do they actually value. And you probably value it as well.
Word. I'm not keeping a track of the time. I hope you are, Bruno. Where we need to be at this point?
More or less. I think now is a good time to go to the Unconference purpose statement. And for this, we will use a liberating structure that's called 25 to 10 crowdsourcing.